Hello. We'll see if people come back. This guy that's live, apparently. Hello, everybody. I'm gonna do a little something here. So the Doors on 4101 lower sideband, playing Riders on the Storm. Hey guys, 2 seconds. What is sad with this with using Google Chrome is when you start again, you have a new link and a new way of doing things. When I used Wirecast, you could actually restart the same stream. But hey, I'm here. We're 11:38 p.m. Almost midnight. And 4101 lower sideband Parrot, 6925 upper sideband Parrot. So if you guys see that, Kimberly, Ranjit, Mitch in Buckeye, Arizona, Simon Templar, nice to have you here. Kimberly, Manny CV, nice to have you here. Moria 330, nice to have you here. It's raining, says Kimberly. That's good for California, actually, because you guys had a lot of drought, so it's okay. Riders on the Storm. So, man, we started at 8. We had a show that's 3 hours and like 30 minutes before my PC froze for the first time since I own it, which is 6 months. I've owned this PC for more than 6 months, and it I like that. Man, the music's good on Zeke's Attic. Now it's nice and white satin. Oh man, 9:24 a.m. in Nepal on a Monday morning. This is crazy. Hey, Sheldon Harvey's still here. Nice and white satin on 4101 lower sideband. So, supposed to be some lightning tomorrow. Wow. We're supposed to have snow tomorrow. I was looking at the weather. It's like snow. So some activity tonight on Pirates. 6925 is still active on 6925 upper sideband. He's been sending tons of slow scan TV stuff. And 4101 lower sideband, which is Zeke's Attic, I guess. Still there with that one is pretty good here as a pirate. Oh, what a good signal. I'm really amazed. So we probably lost quite a few that went to bed or decided that I wasn't here. It's actually going up, 21 now. Yeah, in elevations in California. Yeah, in the Sierra, whatever, Sierra Madre or whatever. That's interesting, Sheldon, that you have hardly any trace of 4101 on the MLA 30. I'm on the MLA 30 original. If I compare it with my MLA 30 Plus actually has more noise on this one. You know what's unique? Is you're having, Sheldon, more signal on your wire. And one of the things I rarely see on almost any signal here is more signal on my W6LVP. And in this particular case, and I don't know if it's where the signal come from, I have a stronger signal on my expensive W6LVP on that specific signal than on my MLA 30, which is very unusual. So there's something about that signal. I don't know if maybe it's closer than we think, and maybe if you rotate your MLA 30, you'd see that maybe it actually is better. What's the question for you, Sheldon? What's the orientation of your MLA 30? So if you look at the loop, where does it go? Mine is I got the three are oriented the same, and they are south west to northeast orientation. What's the orientation of your MLA 30, Sheldon? Just out of curiosity, maybe it's just the way it's oriented. You know what? It's strong, and I think it's closer than we think. Honestly. Ranjit, semi-locked down here. Yeah, everybody is pretty much locked down here. I mean, there's groceries are open, but nothing else. This is my Sunday night bar with friends, having beer with a bar with friends. Everything's closed, so we'll make more live shows because of that. So Sheldon says, good question. Parallel to the fence on the left side of the yard, looking out the back door, impossible to rotate it. So what's that direction? So when you look at the back door, so it's parallel to the fence on the left side of the yard. So when you look at that direction in the back door, what's the if I try to remember when you do the live shows, your house is here, the sun is there, going towards. So you must be in an orientation that is. Let me just check. So when we do the live shows in the summer, we have the sun there. It's always in the camera. And we're looking in that direction in your backyard. So if the sun's there at 20 UT, 21 UT, it's roughly west, which would mean that your antenna is almost, I would think your antenna is pretty much in the same direction that mine are here in Montreal. Interesting. Kimberly, welcome to my world. East, southeast, north, northwest. So mine is okay. That's interesting. Yeah, because it's parallel. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah, pretty much. That's so you're 90 degrees from me. That's right. Because the fence, the sun west. No, yeah. Okay, you're 90. That's the thing. You are about 90 degrees from my antenna. So mine are 90 degrees from yours. So maybe that's why you're not getting it. Maybe because in this particular case, your orientation makes a big difference of you getting it well or not. Oh, interesting. You can pinpoint the pirate and call the cops. I would never do that. have you ever heard pirates? No, officer. I don't even know what they are. Keegan, welcome back. Mickey says 4101 amazingly strong. It's pretty good here too. It's pretty good here too. Yeah, and you guys west always complaining that pirates never make it out there. You got a couple of pirates now that you're listening to. Sarah Mason, welcome back from Colorado. Hey, Matambali. You know what, Sheldon? Honestly, I've seen enough videos, and I don't think it makes a difference. So I see a lot of people, change the connector for a BNC and put that expensive coax and everything. There's one in the Shortwave Facebook group that did it, and he said what he noticed is changing the loop itself did make a difference. Changing the cable did not. I'll tell you why I don't think either that it is. Remember one thing. That cable, it's an amplifier that sends the signal. It's not like a regular wire antenna. So when you got a wire, it's passive. And what your coax is bringing in is whatever signal that your antenna is resonating to that's bringing it in. No amplification, no nothing. The MLA30 amplifies the signal. So what it sends is an amplified signal through the coax. Yes, it could be noisy if it's very, very noisy around you. But I have very, very I honestly I don't want to put my hand in fire, but I have a hard time thinking it makes it better. And I've seen enough videos and I've read enough articles that seem to kind of point where I think that the coax itself doesn't change anything. The only thing that I've read that does change, and that's what I want to test actually, is making a bigger loop with the MLA30 with a small copper tube or whatever. And that I want to try. That everybody seems to say, yeah, oh, wow, it's different and it's better. But the coax, I don't think. I have a hard time thinking it will. Hey, J. Lyle. Well, we're not going to go all night, but, I got like a million replies of, well, oh, he's gone. Summon Templar says, I have my HF on. Can't hear the one on 4101 in Portland, Oregon. What is the 6925 upper sideband? 6925 USB. So this one is 4101 lower, and 65. The other one is 6925 upper. Vince, strong signal like this in Montreal for 4101. It's not from Europe. It's a pirate, so it's not from Europe. And it's probably a lot of pirates are from, I would say, around the northeast of the US. I know that there were a few from like southern Ontario, but that possibly is from the northeast of the US. Psychofu, reckon the Texan PL 990 will be pushed back. Yeah, a few weeks. From what we see is that pretty much every new radio that was promised is a few weeks later. It, that's a tough one, Sheldon. It could, yeah. I don't know. I don't know on that one, Sheldon. It could, maybe. I don't know. If your house is very noisy, but even then, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Anton Bali says larger diameter tube will change the response. That does, absolutely. And it changes the resonance with the amplifier. $38.30 Radio Man. Nice to have you here. Mark Cope, 4101, decent in Dallas, Texas. So I'm in Templar now. I can hear the one on 4101. Oh, cool. Because I've wondered a lot about my loops, and I mean the length of wire and the coax. And I get a lot of people saying, "Well, the coax comes with the MLA30 is cheap," and I mean, it could be. It's a $40 antenna, and it comes with a lot of stuff, so we can understand that some part of it might be less of quality than another. Um, what makes me wonder is so the W6 LVP BNC connectors. So what I did is I purchased really good coax with BNC on each side, and when I see the performance difference, I have a hard time thinking that the coax or anything is really doing anything. And I'm trying to remember who did it on the shortwave group. But in the shortwave group, somebody came up and said, "You know what? I did the coax change and blah blah blah, and I can't really see much of a difference." So I don't know. It's interesting, and I mean, already that MLA30 brings us so much more signals than whatever wire. I think what you're Sheldon, what you're having tonight is much more orientation thing. So from what I understand is that, yeah, you are, I was a little mixed up when I did my thinking, but so your house is here and the sun is there when I'm doing the live show and it's going that way, and if it's parallel the fence, you are northwest to southeast, where I am southwest to northeast. So we are 90 degrees. So yours is like this, mine is like this. And I think the only reason why your wire performs better tonight is that your loop is not oriented towards the signal. Mine is in that position. So that explains maybe. That also tells us one thing, because I have noticed in the signals, the closer a signal is from where we live, the more directional the MLA30 is. So that also means that that pirate is much more close to us than we think. So it's somewhere in the Northeast, not very far, maybe just across the border, state of New York or something. Interesting. That's interesting. We'll start to do a directional finding of pirates. We will not. Oh, God. That's interesting. Interesting talk. Yep. Sheldon, 4101 Pirate is using WNEW call sign. That's what I was hearing earlier. WNEW. That was WNEW, Sheldon. That was the station playing big band music, right? When they were WNEW, they were playing big band music on 1130. Matambale, steering that MLA30 away from the noise rather than towards the favorite part of the globe has made for much, much happiness. Like any loop, I think the loops are meant to be in an orientation for lower noise more than anything else. You put the orient here. What I did is that I turned it, and when I saw that it was the lowest noise, that's where I left them. Sean says, correct. They used to say the phrase popular standards, the voice of New York City. Huh. Interesting. Vince, with my experience, I can guarantee that change the coax on MLA30 will not make signal stronger, but noise level will go down like hell. But there's a but. Hard to explain on chat. Huh. So now I'm curious, Vince. Il faut se rencontrer pour un café. Tant qu'on n'est pas plus que 10 au même endroit. We'll have a shortwave party in Montreal and get arrested because we're more than 10 in the same place. Yeah, but that's what I was hearing for a while here on 4101. Hey, Jay Watterson 69. Nice to have you here. Streaming till the sun comes up. Oh, man. That would be... this is the 24-hour show. Hey, Mixed Radio International is in the house. And yeah, it was really good. I was happy to report it. I was happy to see XFM come back and say, hey, it's Gilles from Montreal. Everybody knows Gilles. I was like, everybody knows Gilles. What's that? So hey, we've got Mixed Radio International in the chat room. Nice to have you here, my friend. Kimberly, next part 3. Watch Gilles sleeping. Yeah, well, it might be cute. You'll see Gilles sleeping with Paul the cat, and I'll be holding him like this, and everybody's gonna be like, oh, this is so cute. I'll have even more views because Paul the cat will be there. Oh, man. Jay Watterson, I wonder if that female ranger is hanging out in the park. Might be worth the trip. Oh, God. Jay Lyle, tough question. Since you started shortwave listening, what's the one thing or event that's the most memorable to you? And by the way, Mixed Radio International, it's always super cool to hear you on the airwaves. Always fun. Always fun. there's a few things. There are some events, and there are some things that one that is memorable, I think. So back in 1986, everybody knows of the famous Chernobyl nuclear accident. And back then, I remember I had my physics teacher. He had a little something in his shirt pocket, kind of a test tube thing. It looked like a test tube. And I remember when he wore that for many days, and they came up to him once, and they said, "What's that in your shirt?" And he said, "Oh, it's a kind of a Geiger counter." And he took it out and he says, "If there's little bubbles forming, we're being in the presence of radioactivity." And I said, "Wow, okay." And I looked at him and I said, "You're afraid that that Chernobyl thing is happening here?" And he knew I was one of the smart ass of the class that understood that what was happening was kind of a very big thing. But as a teenage guy, I was not thinking that it could affect us here. But when he had that and he showed me and he explained, I started kind of wondering. And so, you know, the USSR, the Russians back then took a little bit of time, took several days for them to actually say it out loud that something had happened. And I still remember I was recording, and I have the tape here. I have to find it. I was recording Radio Moscow, and the first item of the news bulletin, and it was a woman. I still remember it was a woman. It says there was a report of a accident at the Chernobyl nuclear plant in the Ukraine. And I've got that on tape. I have it here. I still have it. I need to get my box of tapes out. Moment. I can tell you that. One is, I don't know if Sheldon remembers. Sheldon used to be part of a Sunday night net that talked about radio, and he would get call-ins. So there was somebody out there that would offer a phone number so that people that are not ham radio operators could call in. And one night, somebody posted something's happening on, I think it was 5616 or something. It was one of the maritime frequencies. And there was a boat on fire on the East Coast. And it was like being live. And there was a rescue of people from a boat on fire on the Atlantic Ocean, just it was like near the coast of New England or something like that. And we were hearing the reports as they went, and we were hearing the signals really well. It was amazing. That's something I never forget. One of the things I never forget is while I was at Perry Island D Expeditions, and by accident I came across one of the aeronautical frequencies, and one of the passengers was having a heart attack on the plane, and they were actually doing a phone patch with a doctor. That was pretty amazing. And actually, I have the recording of part of that on the Shortwave channel. If you look at Perry Island The Expedition, it's like 3 years ago, 3 or 4 or 5 years ago, but I got part of the recording of that on the Shortwave channel. And the patient had a heart attack on the plane. I mean, you're at the heart of the action when that happens. And I'm sure there's a lot more than that that I just don't remember. You know? Kimberly. That's what I was thinking. Oh God. You know, we'll do Sarah Mason. We'll do a show with that, and I'll show some of the QSL cards, and we'll talk about that a little more. Simon Templar, take care, my friend. Stay safe, my friend. Okay. I think everybody needs to stay safe and be careful. I want a Geiger counter. Sheldon Harvey, most memorable shortwave broadcast I monitored was the English announcer at Radio Beijing telling the world about Tiananmen Square. Oh man. We are Jay Watterson, the tape is in English. It's the English language news broadcast from Radio Moscow, and it's the first mention of it. And I still remember the French CBC broadcast here in Canada. They had nobody, but I still remember they were showing a Kenwood R5000 from I don't know who, showing that the Radio Moscow was mentioning a nuclear accident. John Root from California, nice to have you here. Matambale, Danny data mod for BNC connector, like tight fit, and yep, yeah, I posted a video for anyone that wants to do it, but it was in English. It's amazing what we don't understand is all of us here with our radios are at the forefront of all of that action, of everything happening around the world. You know, I mean, if you guys want to listen to something special, just when the show's over, just go to just type on in YouTube search, type Radio Berlin International last broadcast. The full hour is there, and you have people that are actually sad that the GDR, the German Democratic Republic, is gone and is going away, and that only part of the jobs of Radio Berlin are integrated into the Deutsche Welle as everything is reunited. You know, let's not forget, for a lot of people, and probably the majority of people, it's a great moment. But there's a subset of people that are not necessarily super happy that all of this happened and that everything is reunited. You know, there's and every event around the world, I think there's, you know, winners and losers. There's people that are happy that things are happening. You know, I talk about it regularly, but I mean, the Cold War is crazy times. I'm happy to have lived it in the last, moments. Somebody told me once, they said, well, you didn't live really through the big stuff. Yeah, I didn't live through the Cuban War crisis. But I can tell you one thing. In the Reagan era, the Cold War was pretty heavy. It was one of those heavy moments of the Cold War. So if you take out the missile crisis with Cuba, the 80s had one of the tough moments with the Cold War also. And I lived through that. You know, we were convinced that nuclear bombs would fall on us at some point, with crazy people out there just thinking about whatever, and felt nothing we could do would change the world. There was nothing we could say. There was just two countries dictating everything else. And I understand, because I get criticism all the time when I say this particular phrase. And I always get one side saying, yeah, but, they were threatening and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, but be that country in the middle, okay? And you're stuck in two big ideologies that decide that they are messing with each other. It's not good, you know? Shannon Harvey says also I have a recording in BBC making the first announcement of Iraq invading Kuwait. You know what? I remember when that happened of somebody that had a recording of so Radio Kuwait was on the air when it happened, and there was some recording of some of the announcers there stuck in the station calling for help. Actually, pretty crazy stuff. Pretty crazy stuff. Kimberly says Larry and I watched movie Blast from the Past last night. It's a cute movie and a little appropriate at the moment so far as being isolated. Cute movie. Mind Jam. Hey, nice to have you here. Mind Jam says, I thought we were going to be nuked in the 80s. I think everybody did. I mean, I think a game changer. There were a few things that were game changers, but one of them is when the movie the morning after it's called with Jane Fonda, where you just see that the horror of what a nuclear war was. It was actually banned in so many countries. We pride ourselves in saying that we are, um, you know, countries where liberty and free speech and oh, really? Why did a movie about nuclear war and the consequence be banned in countries that we thought were countries where our liberty and our expression of what we think and what we see um, should be always there? And shows us that, you know what, even in a free country, we're not necessarily that free. It's crazy. Psycho who remembers the Fallout drills in school. Yeah. Jay Lyle, I was born in 66, kid of 70s, teen through the 80s, mid 80s. Remember all that well. Was a great time being a shortwave listener back then. You could get news before anybody else heard it. I was happy to be a shortwave listener. Shortwave listeners were in the middle of the war. Pretty much. And I'm going to say it again. Okay? Let's face it. Yes, there were propaganda, but Radio Moscow was kind of cool. I'm sorry, but it was. They had some really cool stuff. Yes, the idea behind it was to bring us into their ideology. But it wasn't worse what the Voice of America was doing or whatever broadcast from the West was doing. It was different. But honestly, I have some amazing, really cool memories of Radio Moscow that I will never forget. And it was bad times for a lot of people. There were some sad moments, all of that. The Berlin Wall, people dying for trying to escape. It's what the worst in what a human being could be. But us with shortwave radios were in the middle of all of it. We were the guys and the girls tuning in to a broadcast from either a communist country, an Eastern Bloc country, a station from the West, or there were some that were kind of really in the middle, like, Swiss Radio International, or that were like really like, I'm not taking any side in anything. But we were at really stuck in the middle of all of that. And could follow all of that. Mickey Dalmage, I have the recordings of the last Radio Berlin broadcast as well as many other last broadcasts, HCJB, Swiss Radio, Radio Netherlands, Belgium. Wow. Man. Mickey Dalmage, remember Radio Mediterranean via Malta in English. Oh, man. Crazy. Crazy. Oh, the day after. I said the morning after. It's the day after. Thank you, Sheldon. I said the morning after. I don't know why. It's the day after. Yeah. With Jane Fonda. She was in it, right? And the nuclear attack on the U.S. Yeah. I mean, that changed. Already things were changing as time went by, but that movie, I think, changed the perception forever of the average people. I mean, as long as some government would say, you can survive a nuclear attack, don't worry. Just duck and cover and everything will be fine, Radiation, there's no radiation. Come on. Just duck and cover. Radiation will fall off you. Okay. What's the morning after? I'm mixing up stuff now. So the morning after is about what? And the day after is about what? I'm getting mixed up now. There's a movie about a nuclear war. Oh, Jason Roberts. And the day after? I'm getting old. I'm mixing movies now. Okay, the day after is the movie where... Okay, I probably mixed them up. I don't know why. I thought Jane Fonda was in there for some reason. The day after? Okay. The day after is about watching Jill on YouTube and drinking many beverages. Oh, man. Sean Harvey, Jane Fonda wakes up with a hangover and no memory of she ended up in bed with a dead man. Oh, God. Isn't that some kind of conspiracy for the Cold War? It sounds like a conspiracy for the Cold War. Okay, it's the day after that I'm talking about. Oh, God. Okay. Oh, man. Satish Tiwari, Shortwave Radio Channel, India Country, new channel. What do you want? What do you mean? Matt and Belly. So if you don't wake up with a dead body, you're doing all right. Oh, God. VE5UO. I don't know if she was in the China syndrome. I know Sheldon probably knows that she was in a movie with a character called Duran Duran that was derived for the name of a famous band that is really good. She was in the China syndrome. So we're talking about movies now. Oh, man. No, Sheldon is thinking, well, I think it's time to go to bed now. We're talking about Duran Duran. I got enough. Oh, God. Never had an ugly woman, but woke up with a couple. Hey, Kimberly was a Durani. You know, Sheldon, March, my birthday, reminds me of yeah, Barbarella at the ESX. It's fun because you know what I like when we talk of different subjects. There are people watching that never or just in the background don't say anything, and then you start talking about a subject, and somebody has to just say it. It's like just to have you hear at ESX. Yep, Barbarella, Duran Duran, the famous character in there. That gave the name to the band. But Sheldon, March, my birthday, reminds me of my teenage years listening to Rio, the album. Do you fall asleep listening to shortwave radio, Yarabamba? What I usually do, if sometimes I do, I have a radio on the table next to the bed, and what I'll do is tune around and find something, and I will be listening to that, and then I kind of fall asleep for some reason, and I wake up and it's like either static or something playing that I was listening to, and I wake up and I'm like, okay, it's time to shut down the radio, and I just shut it down. But most of the time, I just go to bed. My bed listening, my radio listening in bed usually involves I'm tired, but don't necessarily want to go to sleep right now. So I'll go to bed with the radio and try to. I'll try to simply just um, tune around and get around whatever I want to see until I'm tired and I just want to go to bed. Kimberly says, "Let them had their posters all over my bedroom walls. My late grandmother would sleep in my room when she came to visit, and she felt strange with all those posters staring at her." Oh God. Yep, Barbarella. She's a space traveler. It's like I'll resume it in a different way, Sheldon. Jane Fonda as a sexy space traveler, where the only thing you see is that she's sexy in every position possible and tries to help out. I remember I saw the movie, the first ever time I saw that movie, I was like, okay, that's an unusual movie. Sheldon says instead she actually created a crappy 80s band. Long live Duran Duran. Sheldon, I got a ticket for you. They're coming this fall. You and me together. Even have VIP backstage space. VIP passes for the backstage. You'll be able to meet Simon Lamont in person. Are you going to tell him in his face, your band is so crappy? Kamaxi, you know what? I totally believe that. Totally believe that. It's I when I saw Barbarella, I was like, yeah, this is like a very soft, no nude, but very soft porn science fi movie. That's pretty much what it looks like, more than anything else. Sheldon says, I'm out of town that day. What day is it? I'm not telling you. Make sure you're not out of town. Oh, God. Am I still here at midnight 26? I started at 8 p.m. That means I'm in, in two phases. I've been on for 4 hours and 30 minutes, actually. But we're having fun. We need I need a pirate station that does like, Duran Duran Radio International or something. Like I said before, if I would ever do a Duran Duran, if there would be actually a Duran Duran pirate, I'm sure Sheldon would say, okay, Gilles doing a pirate station tonight. Are they opening for Celine Dion? Oh, God. Now I'm not going. Now I'm not going. I can tell you that, Sheldon. Celine Dion, please. Please. Oh, God. Duran Duran destroyed humanity, says Matt Bali. Keegan says, and a Simpsons character based on the name Barbarella. Yeah. Oh, God. Hey, Jerry DX. Can't really see. Do you have any more beer left, Jill? Well, I don't have beer. It's vodka. I got tons of vodka, actually. So, I would have to make another drink, but it's getting late now. Yeah, you know what, Sarah Mason? Here in Quebec, we all think that Celine Dion is idiot, but that's our take on it. I'm not even sure now with Celine Dion and Justin Bieber who should actually represent Canada. I can't see anyone better than the other. Mickey says, I always put a different tape on when I hit the sack. Tonight will be All India Radio on 11620, radio listing board 15350, and BFBS. What's that? Broadcasting of something. I can't believe you have a stockpile of beer, like people with toilet paper. Hey, I'd rather stock beer than toilet paper. I can clean my ass with many other things. Vince Perrault says, it's getting late, but your view are getting higher. I agree. We don't give a crap about Celine Dion. I don't care. I don't care about Celine Dion, honestly. Oh, British Forces Broadcasting Service. Man. I remember the AFRTS, American Forces Radio and Television Service, that would play sports so often. You would hear baseball games. I still remember listening and hearing baseball games on AFRTS, American Forces. Is there still some place around the world where AFRTS? I remember last that I heard was what's their base in the Indian Ocean? There was AFARTS. There was there was a base in the Indian Ocean that was apparently still broadcasting on shortwave, but what's the name of that base? I forgot it. Diego Garcia. Thank you, Sheldon. Diego Garcia. Oh, I love Alanis Morissette, Camexy. I adore Alanis Morissette. She could represent Canada. I got no problem with Alanis representing Canada. I can tell you that. Yeah, because from certain places, I believe AFRTS is still active, but not close to us. So that's why we're not really hearing much here. But I haven't heard or seen any reports of the American Forces Radio on shortwave much. It's just on Darren Pierce says AFRTS only on satellite now. Okay, so it's satellite only thing. They've totally gone off shortwave. Okay. Kimberly says, I felt like it was Easter Sunday. Walked out the garage and suddenly my hand landed on a 4-pack of toilet paper my husband had bought. There was a very nice post. A friend of mine on Facebook posted something like, okay, we advanced humans need toilet paper and actually hoard it, while this species, and they're showing cats, have understood how to go along without toilet paper, and they're all licking their butts. Oh man. Oh god. So hey guys, it's midnight 30 here in Montreal, believe it or not. And I think I'm gonna be saying goodbye for tonight. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being great fans of the Shortwave Show. It was nice to have this Sunday night talk, chat of radio, music, and whatever else is happening in our worlds. And slacker. Sheldon says slacker. Yeah. You know what, Sheldon? Next Sunday, you come here. I'm going to do a 4-hour show. Yep. I'm not participating, by the way. You're going to be here 4 hours. Talk. Just do it. We'll see how he goes. So, hey, Sheldon, next Friday, 1 p.m. for the usual International Radio Report recording. Your headset is going to be in the mail tomorrow. You should have it by Friday. And thanks for everything, everybody. Have a great night, a great time. Stay safe. Mickey says, yes, Slacker. Then I have to go up to CKUT this morning. Yeah, it was weird. I was in bed at 9:30. I was like, oh, man. Thanks, everybody, for being great fans. Have a great night. Stay safe. And take care. Part of the guys missed this part, the second part of the show. But stay safe, okay? And don't put yourself in harm's way or do anything stupid like I usually do. Bye, everyone. Stay safe and see you Wednesday. Okay? Bye-bye.